Hey, it's Dan with the Talking Hedge, your cannabis business podcast. And then in this case, Leaf Life, now on the Roku, and my cool pals at Cannasortium. So I've been down visiting Hempfest this morning. It's a couple days before the festival where you get a chance to go talk with some of the old school homies, right? And in this case, a nice little interview with Grandma Cat Jeter, a stalwart and a warrior in the cannabis prohibition fight. And then just some good data. So anyway, it is field audio. You'll hear airplanes. We're standing by the water. We're in the park. And at the same time, what can I say? She's got a great big brain. All right, so we're relaxing some. We're getting a chance to catch up some. Your name for the record?
Hi, I'm Grandma Cat Jeter.
Nice. All right, so now there are warriors and there are stalwarts in this cannabis space. I think it's fair to say you're some of both, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm persistent. We can say that.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're going to have a little fun. We're informing about history of the industry and some of these things. How long have you been helping patients with cannabis?
Directly helping patients. I was one of the first firms organized in Washington State with that direct purpose. But let me tell you, there are OGs out here who are my template, who've been doing it for, how long was Prohibition? 80 years?
Right. So, okay, so now we're at Hempfest, right? A big festival that's kind of under threat these days. They kind of keep dealing with, we'll say, the nature of the stigma of cannabis and all of these things. You're out early, you're setting up, but you were telling me you don't have anything to sell. What are you doing here?
Well, Grandma Cat is all about education, about the fact that the whole cannabis plant is what heals. If you want to recreate and choose an isolate or whatever, that's great. But listen, if you're serious about your health, about chronic conditions, about potentially terminal conditions, you're looking for the full plant. Why is that? Because of the entourage effect. We know that when left together, the whole plant works better. And we don't know what the magic of that key is, although I have my theories. But until we know, keep the whole plant together if you're looking about serious. Now, Friday night, Grandma loves to tab it down.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's not my healing. My healing every day is a specific dose of full extract cannabis oil with a specific ratio. Same for my dog, too.
Nice. Okay. Well, so now you have quite a reputation here in the industry as being outspoken, direct, and essentially somebody that's a go-to with regards to the medical side of the community and such. How do you learn all that stuff? How do you learn all that?
Golly. Well, first off, let me say it is always a privilege and an honor to have the trust of people who trust me to guide them with the cannabis plant towards a more holistic way of living and being in the world, regardless what your health status is. I keep my mind open. I had an interesting synergy. I was literally raised in a laboratory. My dad was a pharmaceutical chemist.
Okay.
So I had a pretty good grounding from early on about this kinds of stuff. I had a history in the medical industry as a financial professional.
Okay.
I know how pharmaceuticals, how the health industry was driving people to their knees even in the 90s when I opted out. Yes, folks, I actually am old. And, so all of this came together. My son once said, when I was thinking about what my first tattoo would be, he said, well, what's persistent in your life? Because it had to be something I wanted for 5 years.
Right.
And I said, God, weed.
There we go.
Because I celebrate my canniversary, which goes back to 1973, the week I graduated from high school.
Wow.
And it's been an evolution with the plant. And this is what brings me to a level of trust with people. That and the fact that I'm a truth speaker. If I don't know, you're going to know that I don't know. But I also know how to go research the peer-reviewed science and draw inferences from in vivo studies with specific cannabinoids. And sometimes we get it right and pull a rabbit out of a hat when we think and doctors too, think there's nothing left that we can grasp for, yet our patients persist.
Oh my gosh, right?
Keep your mind open. The science of cannabis is evolving daily. I like to remind folks about the whole thing. we're not living through history. We're creating it. We're writing it.
Yep. Oh, this is one of the things that's so fun about reporting on this space is that the information doesn't age well, right? It's one of those things where something that we thought 6 months ago can be radically impacted by new thinking and such.
Right.
So what are a couple of new things that you learned recently? What's some stuff you learned?
Recently in the peer-reviewed papers we thought CBD, no downside.
Yep.
Turns out CBD might actually inflame your liver when taken in inappropriate doses.
Okay.
That's what I'm finding in the peer-reviewed papers. Oh, another fun one, 7 brand new receptors. We love CB1, CB2.
Right.
But have you heard of GP? I think it's either 117 or 119.
No.
That is
Okay.
associated with your pancreas. Right? We've known that there's a positive effect with cannabis, with diabetes. Pancreatic cancer is the ones we still
That's what
can't
got my
get
mom.
our
Yep.
arms around.
Yep.
I sadly lost a patient just a couple of weeks ago. This could be, and THCV maybe
Yeah.
activates that. New science everywhere. But one of the things that I always try to remember is cannabis is about living in concert with our earth. There is
balance.
Yes, there is nothing. We're constantly convinced or attempted to convince us that we do not live in a world of bounty, that somehow we have to fear the other.
Sure.
Right? So cannabis is one of those things prohibited to us. Might it be one of those keys about bounty and synergy? I read interesting opinion, an interview, I believe, with the CEO of Pharmaciello.
Okay.
Right, this is the company down in Colombia that I'll bet your group certainly knows about.
Sure.
They
Yeah.
intend to take over the world with the synergy of cannabis grown in Colombia to provide for the pharmaceuticals.
Sure. Yeah.
He saw cannabis as a direct therapeutic agent, as a second world solution. And I was being asked to comment on this, and I thought, this sounds like another one of those great plans that's going to backfire on them, right? We're going to allow first world nations to continue to pump profits for pharmaceutical companies while they languish in a pharma torpor. And second world nations will be living happily and synergistically in a much more holistic way.
I wouldn't mind spending some time in a second or third world. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, it's kind of...
All my friends are retiring there. The thing you have to remember about Hempfest is it started, and to this day, this year maybe more so than in recent years, it's a protestival.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
a festival. It started even before we had a Seattle 75, which was the first relief and allowed us to just have a ticket for getting caught smoking cannabis. Cost us, I think, $75. That was pretty progressive in the mid-90s.
Sure, yeah.
Led to medical cannabis in 1998. This is education at our Hemposium. It is speakers from OGs to the newest folks in the industries from Maine and the Black Sealy stage. It is entertainment because art is a huge part of our culture.
Such a fun
It
fest.
is economics because, like it or not, you press on one side of us and it's a balloon effect, something else squishes up.
Yeah.
We can have a whole nother discussion about the evolution of medical to legal.
Sure, right?
It's a great weekend, and we do it annually.
Well, so let's do this. For our last big thing here, so I'm going to have you help me paint a wordy picture, okay? So it's early in the morning. We're at Hempfest. We're hanging out. Tell me a little bit about your space. What do you see here this morning?
Oh my God, this park is one of the crown jewels of Seattle. It occupies the northern space of the waterfront in Seattle between between the commercial piers and our cruise terminal piers. And in the distance, I can see our shipping heritage and maritime heritage. And in front of me is West Seattle and over to the peninsula and Bainbridge Island. Later today, we'll start to see the cruise ships pop in from Alaska going to and from. And on the other side, you've got what Seattle told me when I moved here in 1993 is what they wanted to become. a world-class city of the future. But it's created an uneasy synergy with the Seattle that had the cool factor. And Hempfest is a reflection of that this year, where Seattle is pushing back on us hard. But there are people out here exercising through the park. There have been homeless here sleeping through the night. There are people walking to work right now. It is quintessential Seattle. Good, bad, however you view it, it's also a city in evolution.
Yeah. Well, so your name is Grandma Cat.
I am.
And then if I wanted to find you, I suppose I could turn on the internet. That thing's getting popular. Try the internet.
Get your Google box.
Right, and type in Grandma Cat, and I would learn a lot, wouldn't
I? Probably so. I have a YouTube channel, Grandma Cat Jeter. That's Cat with a C and Jeter with a J. I have a Facebook channel. The best place to message me is on Facebook, Grandma Cat with a C. And Lucy, the Canada dog, my dear full-time companion other than at Hempfest because of the crowd, has her own page, Lucy the Canada dog, on Facebook.
I dig it. Well, so, gosh, thank you so much for the time this morning. You truly are a stalwart and a warrior, and we so appreciate. So this is all part of the Talking Hedge, your cannabis business podcast. And then, Grandma Cat, thank you so much.
It has been my pleasure, Dan.